Hey friends, thank you for joining us for today's Talk for Your Walk with Bridget Lynch. I'm going to tell you, God has just been revealing so many things to me lately, and He just wants me to be super laser focused on what I am doing here at today's Talk for Your Walk and what I'm doing at In the Light Coaching Community. You can find more about that at my website, inthelightcoach.live. Listen, if you are listening to this and you're like, hey, I want to see Bridget, go over to YouTube at Bridget Lynch, and you can find my YouTube channel for all things associated with In the Light Coaching and today's Talk for Your Walk. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share on all of my platforms while you're there, because how else are you going to get the word out if you don't let people know about the great things that you're hearing from me? And that's not to boast or to toot my own horn, but I'm just telling you that God has been revealing things to me, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful that I can walk in the presence of the Lord and He reveals things to me and gives me tips and things and speaks through me, really. And I know when those things happen, because most of the time people say something like, wow, that's really amazing. And I go, yeah, then that's not from me. Because I'm going to tell you, there are things that come out of my mouth sometimes. There's a part of scripture, and I probably need to look it up to know where it is exactly, but there's a part of scripture that says, Lord, put my hand over my mouth. And if I'm saying something I'm not supposed to, right? Or if I shouldn't say anything at all. And so I have been in those situations where I've said plenty of things and I'm like, wish I could put that back. No, it doesn't happen that way, right? It's like the analogy where you can squeeze a tube of toothpaste, but you can't put it back in, right? I know there's school projects and lessons and that, where the kids have to squeeze the toothpaste and try to put it back in. It doesn't work that way. Really good lessons there, right? So anyway, I want to title this today, Firewives, Nurses, and Moms. Oh my, because I am a firewife, a nurse, and a mom. And I want you to know that God has just been showing me more and more. I have been living this life of a firewife for almost 15 years, for 14, going on 15 years. And I'm going to tell you, this is not for the faint of heart. You have to know what you're signing up for whenever you fall in love with a fireman or a firewoman. So there's all kinds of firefighters, right? So I just want you to know that it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. And you might be going, wow, this is really encouraging. I thought Bridget brings hope and encouragement on today's Talk for Your Walk. Hold tight. It's coming. Okay. I promise you. But I want you to know that there are just going to be times when you have to make decisions and you're like, why do I have to do this by myself? Because I've done everything from emergency surgeries. My husband was able to get off of shift, but when that started happening, he was on duty and I had to call him and say, you need to come to the emergency room. And there's just so many times, I have a few notes here, just things that God's kind of dropped in my heart over the past few weeks, and actually really over the past last week. A lot of things have changed for us in our home, and we just are, Adam and I, we separately seek after God, and then we seek after God together as a couple. And if you are married or in a relationship and plan to be married, it is super important that you put God as number one and your partner, spouse as number two. And I'm not saying they're stinky. I live in a house full of boys, guys. Bowel functions usually are talked about on a daily basis. So sorry about that. Anyway, just know that God should be number one, okay? Above all things, in all things, all decisions, He should be number one. Because if He's not in your number one place, it's going to be really difficult and very challenging to get through the trenches of this life. Because we face trauma on a daily basis in the fire family. And here's the thing. This is why, there's so many people that are struggling with this lifestyle or with so many things. I mean, everyone is struggling. So don't think that this life is easy, even if you have God, if you have a relationship with Jesus, okay? So don't think it's easy, but just know that it's more possible. God says with Him, all things are possible. And so just know that I would highly recommend that you have God on your side as you're going through the trenches of life, whether you're a firewife, a nurse, or a mom, Maybe you're not any of those things, but you know someone that is. And so I would recommend you sending them this message and just loving on them and telling them it's okay and that you hear them and you know them and you see them. Text them whenever they're put on your heart and you're thinking about them that day, because they need to know that they're seen, okay? Because it can be very daunting and it could feel like you're all alone when your firefighter is gone for 48 hours. It depends on the day and on the shift and if they get mandatory overtime, which is not fun, because you have to be able to adjust and spin on a dime. I'm telling you right now. And that can be difficult. That can be challenging for people, right? And so just know that I personally am someone that will sit in the trenches with you. Okay. Trenches are not a picnic in the park, okay? And normally you have to dig your own trench to sit in it, okay? I don't know if you know that or not, but in the military, when they have trenches, they have to dig them. In the Bible, it talks about Elijah and them fighting the Midianites, and King Jehoshaphat's like, hey, go and dig some trenches. Or the Lord said that, and King Jehoshaphat's like, okay, yeah, go for it. Go dig some trenches. And so, listen, you may have to dig your own trench, okay, and then sit in it. And that all is very difficult and very challenging, okay? But know that I am someone that will sit in it with you. I'm very comfortable sitting in the mess with people. I've been a hospice nurse. I was a hospice nurse for 8 years. I've been a nurse for, this is my 13th year as a nurse, as a registered nurse. And I stopped practicing nursing so I could be home with my family, but also so I could start my life coaching business. And so these are all things that have been called on me by God. I did not plan any of this. I would not be like, oh, hey, let me work really hard and almost get killed to get a nursing degree. That is not making light of the subject, you guys. I almost had my life taken from me. And let me work really hard for that and then for God to not use it. And I'm not saying that he's not using it or that he hasn't used it. I'm not saying that, but that is how I felt. Like, God, really, you want me to give up all of that I worked so hard for? And he's like, yeah, I don't care. I don't need your title. I mean, he's a lot nicer about it when he tells me these things. But basically he was like, yeah, I don't care what your title is. I can put you where I need you to be, and I can tell you where I need you to go. And I don't care what title you possess or what title you own. Okay. Because you are mine and I'm going to send you where I need you to be. And I'm like, all right, we're just gonna go with that, because that sounds great. Because I don't have a whole book of 66 books in a Bible that tells someone what to do. So I'm just gonna trust the guy that has that. Okay. So anyway, going back to being a firewife and a nurse and a mom. So again, I'm going to be speaking a lot about those. And in my prior episodes of today's Talk for Your Walk, I have done that. I have just shared my life with you and the challenges that we face. We're going through some stuff with our teenager right now, and the last time we were in counseling, our counselor's like, hey, you might want to bring your teenager in here with you. And we're like, all right, cool. And listen, there is no shame in counseling. It is actually super healthy for you to be going to counseling. There is nothing wrong with our marriage. We are amazing. We love each other. Nothing wrong. But we are going through some stuff together that need a third party and a third voice, and someone that's Christian, that gets it, that understands the call and the mission that we're on. And so we need to just bounce ideas off of her, and we need to talk through things with her, and what that looks like for my husband, what that looks like for me, what it looks like for us as a family. And so it's so helpful to have a counselor that understands all of those things and can help you process through those things, right? And we've just had some heavy stuff, you guys, in the fire department. There's already a high tendency for suicide rates, and it has just been, in this county where we are, it has been tragic. It has been so tragic the last several years, and most recently the last couple of months. And so just know, one, that God is with you, that God loves you, that God sees you. I don't know where in the mix that you lost sight of that, or that you don't know that, but know that there is a loving God that cares about you. And I know there are the questions, then why do I see this happening? Why do I run calls on suicides? Why do I see children that have to die? Why do I see all of this? Because there's hate and there's evil in this world. But Jesus he has overcome all of that, and he will come back and he will get us, and we will live eternally with him in the glory of God, in the goodness of heaven. And so that's the hope that we look forward to. This life is a mess. Okay. This world is a mess. This life is a mess, but we have a hope to look forward to because of Jesus Christ and what he's done. So I would tell you a couple of tips for my firewives. This could even, kind of relate to nurses and definitely to moms, for your husbands, but kind of think of it in whatever realm that you're in and you're listening to this. But, I put a couple of tips down here, and one of them is to honor your firefighter, but that could be honor your spouse. That could be honor, your significant other. That could be honoring the person that you love and care about. But let me back up because I messed up myself here. Number one, like I already said, is to put God first. That's your number one priority. The commandments say to love God. He is God alone. Like, he should be the only God in your life, right? And God makes it really simple for us. The greatest commandment Jesus tells us is to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. And so that means you love God, you love others, and then you love yourself. And I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. I'm not saying put yourself on the back burner. I'm not saying you come in third place. I'm saying that there are priorities in this life, and God has set up his systems for a reason. We may not understand why those systems are set up the way they are, but they're set up for a reason. So just trust that and know that God is in control. And so put him first. And then honor your spouse, your firefighter. Honor those people in your life that you put so much love into, that you give so much to. Love them and honor them, respect them. Okay. It says in 1 Corinthians 13 that love is patient and love is kind. I know how hard that is sometimes. I know, because grace needs to overflow out of us onto the person that we love and care about, the people that we love and care about. That can include your children as well, or your family. Maybe you're not married. It can include your niece, a nephew, your mom, your dad, whoever. If you're listening to this and you're single, one, put God first. And while you're putting God first, if you are single, then you are working on you and becoming the person that you want your number two to be with. Like, you don't want to be grouchy and selfish and negative, right? Like, you don't want that in a person. So why would you be that, right? If you're looking for someone that is positive and uplifting and encouraging and has hope, then you don't want to be the person that's, grouchy and not positive, right? Okay. So let's just hit on that. So put God first, honor your firefighter, significant other, your spouse, and then take care of yourself. And there are times when you need to say, hey, I just need you to listen right now. I don't need you to solve any problems. Let me tell you how many times that has saved a conversation in our lives, in our relationship, and my husband will recognize it sometimes. And sometimes I have to tell him. I should say most of the time he recognizes it. He's pretty good at that. And we've been practicing for a while, you guys. Like, we've been practicing how to communicate for a while. We haven't gotten it right all these 14 years that we've been together, right? We haven't gotten it right, but we are certainly learning and loving and moving towards God together, separately as individuals, but together, as one. We are moving towards God, and it has been absolutely amazing. But make sure you have some kind of code word, something. Or if you can just say, hey, I just need you to listen right now. I don't need you to solve any problems. This is what I'm going through. I need to talk through it. Okay, great. He'll just have his listening ears on. He's not going to have his fix it ears on. Okay. Because guys want to fix it. They are created and designed by God, excuse me, to fix things. They are warriors. They are fighters. They are leaders. They want to help. They want to take care of. They want to solve. They want to take care of you and everything. Okay. And so let them do that. But if you just need them to listen, you got to tell them. Okay. And so I want to hit back on taking care of yourself real quick. So I want you to know that while you're honoring and respecting your spouse, your firefighter, that you can also do that while you're serving your household and while you're taking care of yourself. I know that sounds like a daunting task, but I promise you it's possible because I've done it for 14 years. Okay. And so I know that you need someone that understands the schedule. So get you some people. I would be happy for you to get inside my community and for us to have discussions about what it's like to deal with another mandatory overtime. Because if you've been a firewife any length of time, you've dealt with a mandatory overtime, I'm sure. There was a really funny reel that went around for a little while, and my husband showed it to me. I don't know where it was. I should have saved it, but it was like a spin off of We Don't Talk About Bruno, but it was We Don't Talk About Man. No, no, no. Guys, I should not have sang. I haven't sang in a really long time. I need some practice. Okay. Anyway, you need someone that understands the schedule. You need someone, that can help guide you in your frustrations when it is a mandatory overtime. You need someone to discuss your sadness, your loneliness, your safety. I have been in all of those situations where I have felt lonely and insecure and not safe and sad because I spent another night alone in my bed. And can't remember. I was talking to my husband about this the other day, and he's like, you spend half your life, like, what did he say? You spend half your life, I don't know. Gosh, now I can't remember. I'm sorry. But anyway, I know that we spend a third of our lives, parenting and doing life alone. And sometimes it's good because I don't know about you, but when it's that time, let me just say it that way. Sometimes I'm like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anybody, right? Trying to work on that because that's not any way anybody wants to be or be around, right? So listen, put God first and honor him. And then whenever you put God first, let's just talk about that a second. You honor God, you put him first, you go to him, you pray to him, you seek after him. He's going to line everything else up. And I know you're not going to get it right because I don't get it right either. I know you're not going to get it right all the time. But that's okay. That's what grace and mercy are for. Okay. And forgiveness. And so just apologize when you know you're wrong. Just apologize. Like you're not the cream of the crop here. Okay. Like don't act like you are so right. And it's not about being right and wrong. It's about working as a team and getting the job done. That's what it's about. Working as a team and getting the job done. Okay. Because parenting is a job and household life is a job. And you can, and don't be like, oh, that's been on our to-do list for ages. Okay. Break it down. What does that look like? Break it down into small other tasks. Who can you delegate that to? Stop worrying about it. Like, I couldn't tell you last time I mopped my floors. I'm just going to be honest. And is that a top priority for me right now? No, it's not. Because there are mental health things going on in this house. There are spiritual health things going on in this house. There are, priorities. There's sports activities. There's, travel back and forth. Our kids go to a private school 30 minutes away. I am not worrying about a floor that hasn't been mopped. I'm not worrying about it. Now, are my floors disgusting? No, because they get Swiffered and they get swept and they get cleaned periodically. Okay. But I am not like doing a deep clean if I don't need to. Okay. I'm just not. I don't have time for that. And I will hire somebody before I deep clean anything. Okay. And that's the thing too. Like, if you can delegate it by hiring someone out to do it, then free up that time and that mental stress and do it. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand. You're like, I don't have no money. My husband's a firefighter. I know. Okay. I get it. So long story short, this is a super long episode. I feel like I've been a little squirrely, but I just felt like people needed to hear this. I don't know. And nurses, let me talk to y'all for a minute. Stay the course, man. And if you're feeling like miserable and worn out and worn down, like move on. Maybe that season is done. Just maybe it's done. Or maybe you need to move into a different realm of nursing. There are so many avenues you can take in nursing. Many, many at-home jobs where you can, help patients over the phone, do telehealth, whatever. There's so many options in nursing. If you are burnt out, then do something else. Like, don't go through life miserable, trudging your feet through the mud, right? I know there are days when you're going to feel like that, but don't keep doing it. If you're struggling, go talk to someone, I know nurses struggle too. There's been many days I have stood in a medicine room, crying my eyeballs out, like, what the heck am I doing this for? Right. And you got to put yourself back together and go take care of 10 patients. Like, I get it. Right. And so, listen, and I've done hospice work. It's pretty, and people are like, oh my God, how'd you do that? And I did it. Like, that's what God called me to. I have a spirit and a gift for that. And that's what God called me to. And so that's what I did. And it was an honor and a privilege to take care of the families and the patients that I did. And I learned so much at hospice. And so anyway, listen, put God first. Honor your spouse, your firefighter, your husband, honor them. Your wife, if you're a man listening to this, honor them. And then take care of yourself. If you need a counselor, figure out a way to get it for free or discounted or whatever. Maybe your job has an employee assistance program. Start with those and then see if you need to keep going. Do maintenance. If you go several weeks and the counselor therapist is like, you're good. And you're like, hey, can I just come back once a month? There is no shame in that. Like, why is there such a stigma on mental health and talking to people? We talk to people every day. Why is there such a bad mindset on mental health and talking with someone and getting help? Like, the Holy Spirit is our helper. Yes, we have help inside of us, but that doesn't mean that we don't go and find and talk to someone that can help us more. I don't know. That's a whole nother episode, right? So anyway, I appreciate you guys sticking around. I know I sounded kind of squirrely today, maybe, but that's okay. This is just me. I actually call it gold sparkly squirrels because everything has to sparkle. If it's sparkling, like, why would you not look at it? I don't know. Anyway. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you for sticking around. I hope this isn't like scare you off. Like, what is Bridget talking about? She's going on this trail of something and nonsense. I don't even know. I hope you got something out of it. God will realign me. Don't worry about it. I just surrender and be obedient to him and he puts me back in balance. Okay. Don't worry about it. You guys, thanks for being here and make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. And I will talk to you soon.